Hey again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So I'm filming this video on January 10th, and today I am inside starting some dahlia tubers for the season. Now your initial thought is probably, whoa, it's January, it's way too early for that. Actually, it's not the way that I am doing that. So I did this entire project last year. I have a whole video on it. I will link it down below. I started it about a week later, but I thought, I'm going to go ahead and get it started. What I am doing is I'm going to be selecting certain dahlia tubers and starting them in soil to eventually take cuttings from. So in the video today, we're going to select the dahlia tubers that I'm going to do this with, and then I'm going to show you how I start them a certain way in soil and where they go. And then once those eyes start growing to a certain point, I will be taking cuttings, rooting those, and producing even more dahlia plants. So dahlias, they're an unbelievable plant. You know how the tubers multiply over the season underground, so you can up your stock of dahlia plants. Well, you can actually take cuttings from them and get even more. So that's what I want to show you guys this winter. But first today, we need to get those dahlia tubers selected. So we're going to hop over to the neighboring building down in the basement where I have my 2 boxes of dahlia tubers stored. We're going to grab those, come back, and then we will get a variety selected to do this project. All right, you guys, we are in the building next door where I currently am storing all of my bulbs. You'll probably see this in an upcoming video or maybe the last video, depending on what order I post them. But this is the little room I have created for my bulb storage. Now I get in right in between here. These are old photography backdrops that I no longer use. And in here, I have a little milk house heater running. And it is keeping the temperature in here about 46 degrees. There's all of my bulbs. But right down here in these boxes, those are my dahlia tubers, and that's what I need to grab for what we're going to do today. But quick, while I have you in here, which I know the lighting is horrible, look at all these beautiful tulip bulbs rooting. These are for Valentine's Day flowers. Isn't that super exciting? Okay, back to the task at hand. These 2 boxes, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick out a few dahlia tubers. We're going to head back next door and get them in soil. Another look at a few of my trays. These aren't quite as far along, but they'll be fine to move up into the studio in a couple days. These are so fun. And I know I've had a lot of people ask if I'm going to be doing a video on my whole process for this. I am not allowed because I took the tulip workshop and it is all of their educational information. But if you are interested in growing tulips in the winter, either hydroponically or with soil forcing, take the tulip workshop. I highly recommend it. All right, so I have gone through those 2 boxes and I have selected the varieties that I want to root this year and take cuttings from. So I'm going to go through those with you. I also have pulled some 4-inch pots, and I did do a rinse on these. These are 4-inch pots that I save from annuals that I purchase at a garden center. I always save my pots if they're in good condition because they really come in handy for projects like this. So I think I grabbed 12, which I may or may not need that many. But I have 10 varieties of dahlias pulled here that I want to start multiplying. So I'm going to take 1 tuber per 4-inch pot, and I grabbed 12 because I may want to take a couple from a certain variety. But first, let me go through what we're going to be using this year. And just a note on my dahlia tubers, I did a video on how I divide and store them. I obviously have them in saran wrap. They are all completely firm, looking amazing. They have been stored at a temperature probably around 40 degrees for this whole winter so far. They're looking amazing. So if they keep lasting throughout the winter, I'm going to have a good stock for spring. All right, so the first variety, Coralie. And a lot of these varieties are really popular for cut flowers. They're very prolific bloomers. That is what I try to grow, so that is what a lot of these varieties are. Caitlin's Joy is the next one. WC White Rabbit. Sylvia, also called Marin or Marn. It's M-A-A-R-N. Huge prolific bloomer, one of my favorites. Diva, another one I really want to up my stock on this year because I barely had any last year. Cornell Bronze, always a popular one. Cornell, another super popular one. Joey Morella. Bracken Palomino, beautiful dahlia. And Brown Sugar, another really popular one. So those are the 10 varieties that I'm going to be working with today. And what I'm going to do, I think first, is get my soil put into these containers. And then I will go ahead and start unwrapping these and show you how to do this. All right, so I have 12 containers filled. I did go ahead and put 10 of them in one of these trays, and I'll probably want to find something to set these down on just for drainage purposes. I also have some different plant labels because I want to mark each one of these so that I know exactly what it is. And I'm going to be doing that with a garden marker, which if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend getting one. I have it linked down below in the description for all the products I use from Amazon. This will not fade like a Sharpie does. So this is a really great thing to use. But let's get out our first tuber. And let's start with brown sugar. I always write too big on these tags. Okay, I'm gonna mark it. I have these wrapped up really well, and I have them, the saran wrap held in place with packaging tape, painter's tape. So I'm just gonna peel that back. I can put it right back on. Oh my gosh, these tubers look so good. Oh my gosh, they are nice and firm. And just because I want to be picky, they all should develop eyes. But I'm going to try and pick one where I can already see an eye. Oh, this one has a definite eye. Let's go with this one. Even though it's a little bigger, I still think it's going to fit in that pot okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap these back up nice and snug right in the saran wrap. Fold over the ends, and if I have to redo the tape a little bit, I can. And then I have labeled on these, like I put, there's 3 in here. I'm going to go ahead and take my garden marker, and I'm just going to put a 2 over top of that just so that I know. So this is going to go right back into the boxes and into storage. So, and I'll put a close-up of these on the screen, but basically what I want to do is I want to nest these tubers down into the soil, but you want to leave the eyes exposed because the eye is where it is going to grow from, and that is what I'm going to later take as a cutting. So the next one I'll zoom in for you guys. But what I'm doing is I'm just I have filled these up about halfway with soil, and so I'm just kind of making a little low point in here so that my dahlia tuber can stick down into the soil. Now I need to cover this more. Basically, I'm going to cover it about up here because I just want that exposed. Some of the tubers, which you'll see are smaller, will sit down in here more, and you just completely put the soil around it. You don't want to put this underneath. You want it above. And let me grab my soil. Okay, so there it is. This one I ended up filling all the way to the top. And then the eye is here. That will be where the growth point comes out. Let me zoom in and we'll do another one. All right, so the next one we are going to start is a Cornell Bronze, and I picked this one to do next up close because it's a smaller tuber, and I want to show you how I lay them down in there when they're smaller. Now this one has a very distinct eye right here. That is that swollen, really dark spot. That is definitely where there is going to be a growth point. So hopefully you guys can see this, but we're going to use this tray, and it is probably about 3/4 full. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of nest it down in here. See how that just kind of sits on top of the soil? Now I'm going to add soil around it, but still keep this exposed. All right, can you guys see that okay? Hopefully. But basically, This tuber is nested down in the soil, but the growth point right there is nice and exposed, and that is going to be where it grows from. Now I just need to put my marker in here. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these tubers. I'll show you what they all look like when I'm done, and then I'm gonna take you into where these are going to go under the grow lights and show you how that setup is all gonna work. All right, all of my tubers are in the soil. They look really good. I ended up doing one of each, except I did 2 of Diva and 2 of Sylvia, because those are kind of the ones that I definitely wanted to up my stock on more. So let me bring the camera closer and I will show you what these look like. Then we're gonna get them under the grow lights. Okay, so here they are, all 12 of them. You can definitely tell the different shapes of some of the tubers. For example, if we zoom in on these are the Sylvia. Look how tall and skinny those are. Whereas this one, this is the Bracken Palomino. This one right here, hopefully that's in focus for you guys. Let me try that. There, that's a little bit better. That is a very short, fat tuber that's just nestled under the soil, and the growth points are like right in this area. But they are all nestled in very well with all of the eyes exposed. And I should start seeing some really nice growth starting maybe in a week or 2. We'll see. That's always the exciting part. All right, now I need to give them a good drink of water, and then we're gonna go put them under the grow lights. All right, you guys, so if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you have seen this room before. This is my other grow shelf. I'm in my furnace room. It's about 60 degrees in here. My fridge is right here that normally I keep my flowers in and my tulip bulbs. I hope I do not have to use that this year. I hope my cooler is ready. But this is my other grow shelf, which you can see most of it is seed tray storage right now. But I do have all of the tubers here on this second shelf. So the grow lights are on. These are actually LED shop lights. I don't buy the fancy grow lights. I just use shop lights. These are LED 4,000 lumens. They work great for me, very inexpensive. And then the tubers themselves are on the heat mat. The heat mat is already turned on, and this is where these are gonna live. The heat's gonna get that soil temperature up to about the 70 degrees that it's needed, and this is gonna get them growing. So I'm just gonna monitor these. I will make sure to give you updates, and when they get sprouted to a certain point and I start doing my cuttings and rooting those in what I'm going to be rooting them in, I will make sure to do a complete video on that as well, because last year I had some great success. The tubers that I started early and the cuttings were my earliest blooming dahlias in the garden last year, just because they were that much farther along. So that was really a treat to have. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's project. I hope this was helpful for you, and maybe you're going to get some started on your own. So do this along with me. You can watch for the next videos, and we'll all have some earlier dahlias for the season and more plants for the season. So stay tuned for a lot more this winter. We'll see you soon.